Yesterday we ended up detailing a little bit of a minor update within Black Ops 4. It was something that spanned Wednesday, yesterday, and a little bit of what was to come today. We talked about briefly Hot Pursuit at the end of that video, but with that update, it was something that came to PC as well. The full-on title update from Tuesday was distributed to PC as of yesterday. When we talked about that, of course, we broke down everything we did normally, but this also set the stage as of yesterday for the content to be coming of Operation Grand Heist coming on Tuesday. The weapon balancing and such is already live, but the contents of Operation Grand Heist is still withheld. But since it is time gated, it's all there, just not public currently, and since we have a full outlook of an update in a game update, or at least at the very least, a hefty amount of content on deck for the full entirety of the event, we have a decent outlook for the rest of the content coming up. And that's simply because, well, PC players can actually go into the game files and check out what's actually all in that update, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, because someone did just that and found a handful of new weapons, mastercrafts, and also one new reactive camo. So we're going to be breaking that down, talking about what they are, and of course when you might be able to expect them coming up in the very near future. So while we have currently a roadmap of the upcoming events over the course of the next 60 plus days on Reddit and the official COD blog, detailing Operation Grand Heist and things like Bare Bones playlist coming to multiplayer, Prop Hunt and Infected coming, a spring map update for Blackout, a not yet specified Blackout event, a new Zombies map in March, and a lot of other things to keep players engaged, one thing that was recently discovered by Reddit user and data miner Josh Woo Cool was a handful of different weapons that we've yet to see. Some of these I know that actually a handful of you guys ended up pointing out from the trailer that was just in view for, say, a blink of an eye, but we didn't know exactly what these were. We didn't know if they were mastercrafts or brand new weapons entirely. But today we do have that confirmation because as of, depending on when you watch this, about 24 hours ago or so at this point, those weapons were actually pulled from the game files and fully confirmed. Now, here's where things get a little interesting, and I'll do my absolute best to keep it as involved as possible, but I cannot, for the sake of copyright reasons, showcase the images and or the videos of the content. I'll leave the links down there in the description below if you guys want to check those out for yourselves, but because the content is not yet released to the public, it falls technically under the category of intellectual property of Activision at this point, so I can't showcase that stuff in video. Unfortunately, we're going in a little bit blind in a sense with this, but I'll do my absolute best again to keep you guys as engaged with the information as possible, even though we have a relatively low amount of backing footage that we normally provide. As for the weaponry and the new items at hand, we end up seeing that we have a couple of different weapons. We see that we have the Ruger Mini 14, which is a sniper rifle. We have the Demo Hammer, a melee being loaded with shotgun shells by its preview video, which is incredibly weird to consider. And we also end up seeing two mastercrafts, one for the Cordite, called in the in-game files, the Space Shuttle. Then we also have a Police Mog 12 mastercraft, and that one's actually seen in the trailer and even in the in-game boot-up cinematic, so that's one that we can showcase a little bit of relative examples as well for because it's out there already. And then finally we have a reactive camo for the Swordfish called the Zombie Flick. And that actually partially makes sense to see that we have one coming for the Swordfish because, as I previously mentioned in a video talking about all this stuff on Monday, the APB camo was actually for the Swordfish in the build of the game that we played at Treyarch as of last week before the event actually launched. So instead of the APB camo being shifted to the Maddox and the Swordfish not having anything to show for it, it seems like we now have one that is making up for that, and now we have one on top of the Swordfish, plus that shifted over from the Maddox. So that's pretty cool. But as for kind of breaking it down a little bit further and giving you guys as much detail as possible without actually showing you guys it, the Mini 14 sniper rifle looks almost like a mini SDM, but very compact, almost not SMG style, like it doesn't look like any of the SMGs or as small as the SOG 9mm or anything like that, but it is something that is definitely a more compact sniper rifle. The scope is actually almost comparable in length to the actual body minus the barrel of the weapon, so it is definitely compact. It's something that we'll probably see, and based off the preview video, seems like the fire rate is again comparable to the SDM. As for how much damage that will do or how agile you can be, because the SDM has a very limited mobility speed when aiming down sight, we don't exactly know how that will stack up, but it is something that does seem to be another semi-auto sniper. The Demo Hammer, think Thor's hammer, but instead that then pops open and you can put 4 shotgun shells in the actual hammerhead that makes contact, which is really weird to think about. Yes, and If you guys want some more clarity, I definitely suggest you go check out the link down below. The Cordite Space Shuttle Mastercraft looks absolutely fantastic. It's almost like a whiteout camo for this Mastercraft, but it has a cool little futuristic spin almost to this with different variants and color grades as the phases progress. So super cool. I think that I'm definitely going to be wanting to get this one. Even though I don't necessarily use the Cordite, I might have to give it a go for a little bit. The Mach 12 police variant, of course, we end up seeing that we've seen that one already, so that one pretty straightforward, explanatory. The zombie flick reactive camo, though, is actually pretty cool. Think of like film strips on the camo and then it cycles through with different cinematic aspects, but that film outline is still there. So I think that one's really cool, but that is the stuff that, in the best of my ability, I can explain to you guys. And if you guys want to check them out a little further for yourself, of course, the links are down there in the description below. But the curious part to me, where we can start to extend this discussion a little further, is how they might be introduced. Because of this, we have 5 items, so your guess is as good as mine as to when they may be introduced, because we saw things like the Barbarians event introduce the Cap 45 right after the halfway point of Operation Absolute Zero, and then go till the end of the event there at that. But we didn't see 5 key elements added into that event, so I doubt that we'll see 5 key elements like 2 weapons, 2 Mastercrafts, and then a reactive camo as well introduced in one event like that. So perhaps we end up seeing 2 events added in, each maybe lasting, say, 20 days time, and with nearly 70 days total after the event of yesterday's readjustment that added 10 days more to Operation Grand Heist, we could theoretically see events maybe start around the 20-day mark of the event, lasting until day 40, and then maybe another one, say, starting around day 50-ish, lasting until the end of the event. So we see that sort of middle ground break where we don't have anything for about a week, and then a secondary one kicks in on top of that. So it'd be interesting to see, but I only consider that being an option potentially because we have 2 weapons. I don't think that we'd see the Mini 14 and the Demo Hammer being placed in the same pop-up event or directly purchasable from the marketplace. So we'll see if that comes to happen, but there's also another curveball that may fit this theory rather well. Shamrock and Awe is coming back for a 3rd straight year in just a few weeks' time. And while it's not detailed as of any specific date as of yet, the official roadmap details March, and if we consider where the dates have fallen for Shamrock and Awe the last 2 years, we firstly saw that Modern Warfare Remastered Shamrock and Awe event started on March 14th and went to April 3rd, and then we also saw Shamrock and Awe return in World War II last year on March 13th and last until the 3rd of April, but both of those fit perfectly for pop-up durations that we may see in Black Ops 4. So we can probably most likely expect it to be the 2nd week of March, or that 2nd Tuesday, because of the timing of how we've seen previous ones fall into line as the last 2 years. And that said, the 1st Tuesday of March is the 5th, making our likely candidate for the Shamrock and Awe event to be the Tuesday, the 12th on PlayStation 4. And I'm not 1000% sure that it will be exclusive for PlayStation 4, but unfortunately I imagine that it will be, so then you'll end up having it around the 19th for Xbox One and PC. So if we do see a larger in-game event, it is possible that maybe we see all of these items added in at some points, and maybe even added in all at once, but we just don't know entirely. But one thing that we almost do know for certain, though, is that, thankfully, these probably aren't going to be in reserves. The way that we can break this down and kind of almost confirm that, all but confirm essentially, it's all likely pointing in our favor, but save for, say, some super drastic thing that ends up happening, where Treyarch and Activision pull a massive switcheroo on us. We know this because there aren't preview videos associated with items in reserves. Where these previews are made are for items that you can end up actually taking a look at and previewing before you actually get them. So things like the Cha-Ching melee weapon, things like the Rampage shotgun, and the Switchblade X9 in the Contraband stream this season. Things like in the special orders where you can take a look at, say, a weapon variant, or as we normally end up seeing, more so a character uniform and customization that takes you to the full screen image and footage of that. The most in terms of preview footage that we end up getting for reserves is that reserve preview in Blackjack's reserve section, and that's its own separate trailer that showcases a collection of the items within reserves, though not all of them, because as we've talked about before, you're probably going to get bogged down with the sheer amount of stickers that are in that reserve loot pool. But we end up seeing that these other items that we've seen so far were also in the Operation Grand Heist trailer, not the reserve content trailer. So this kind of points more so towards them coming in other formats and more directly purchasable or directly grindable areas as well. For comparison, we ended up seeing in the Operation Absolute Zero trailer things like the Paladin Valkyrie variant and the Vapor Vampire Hunter variant as well in that trailer, but those ended up coming as special orders. We never saw those actually in reserves, and the only thing that we ended up seeing in reserves added that was worthwhile of Operation Absolute Zero is that Mozu Replicant Mastercraft, which was not ever teased in the official trailer. So it seems like at the very moment these previews are designed for either tier progression items, black market special orders, or maybe even directly purchasable items in Blackjack's shop, but it looks like it does not point to reserves, which is always a nice thing. So while we probably will see these associated with some sort of pop-up event or potentially Shamrock and Awe, we have a few likely candidates for what may happen, and these are my sort of final wrapping points here at this and the ways we may end up seeing these introduced. Firstly, maybe we end up seeing multiple pop-up events similar to the Barbarians event, with each one containing new DLC weapon and some customization content along with it. The Barbarians introduced that Hades reactive camo plus the Cat 45, so who's to say we don't see a Mastercraft variant added in with one of the weapons and done at 2 different times. Maybe we end up seeing everything dropped all at once in one larger Shamrock and Awe content drop that contains all the items as a part of a mini event within the Operation Grand Heist event. And it's also possible that we end up seeing them broken down and introduced incrementally with distribution of individual sale items through Blackjack's shop or the special orders. So I guess we'll see where this ends up going, but it was a rather interesting find that as the PC update gave us a lot more in terms of a look in as to what to expect for the event that's already in the game files. So that said, should be coming up rather soon here as a result, but that's where we're going to wrap it up. So love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of this here? Are you hoping that they come in terms of a pop-up event like the Barbarians event? Are you hoping they come in special orders, in the daily or featured items in Blackjack's shop? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, multiplayer, Blackout, zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. I live on both those. So if you guys want to check out a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But let's end out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.